What is up, team, and welcome to another episode of BJJ Legacies. And today, let's take a look at the legacy of André Galvão and how he became one of the greats of modern jiu-jitsu. Okay, so if you're new to jiu-jitsu, you may have heard of André Galvão, but maybe only in reference to him as the head coach of ATOS, which is currently one of the top teams in jiu-jitsu. You can spot him in the corner of champions like Lucas Hulk Barboza and Ronaldo Jr. at events around the world. But there is so much more to André Galvão than just being a coach. He is a multiple-time IBJJF world champion and ADCC champion and has several other gold medals in other major tournaments. His resume is stacked. And in terms of his style, he is known as one of the best tacticians in jiu-jitsu and alters his game to attack the weaknesses of his opponents. His versatile skill set supports his strategies as he can pick you up and smash your guard using judo or wrestling, or he can use a variety of guards to sweep you and submit you from the top. He's incredibly athletic and explosive while also having a very technically classic jiu-jitsu game. On the way to those gold medals, he has beaten the current generation of great competitors as well as many amazing champions from the past. He has created one of the most successful gi and no-gi teams in the world in the span of about 10 years. He also had a short-lived but impressive career as an MMA fighter. And when he's not on the mats, you can find him working at his local church as a deacon. Now let's get into the history of Galvão and how he became one of jiu-jitsu's greatest competitors and coaches. André Galvão was born in 1982 in the state of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Galvão started training martial arts as a child, beginning with judo and moving on to jiu-jitsu by his early teens. His first jiu-jitsu professor was Professor Luis Carlos Dagmar. After 2 years of training, it was Dagmar who recognized the potential of Galvão and advised him to go train with jiu-jitsu legend Fernando Terrare's team, TT. At the time, Terrare was one of the best pound-for-pound competitors and building a team full of future champions. As a young competitor, Galvão would train with some of the best athletes of the time and of the future. This included the likes of the Mendes brothers. With Terrare's tutelage, Galvão excelled in many tournaments as a color belt. As a young adult, he became the first purple belt to win the Grand Slam, which is a title given to someone who wins the IBJJF Worlds, Pan Americans, and Brazilian Nationals in the same year. Galvão would go on to win Worlds 4 years in a row at each color belt, from blue to black in the years 2002 through 2005. There was no doubt in anyone's mind that Galvão had a great future ahead of him as a black belt. Due to unfortunate circumstances with Terrare's personal life, Galvão instead ended up receiving his black belt from his first professor, Luis Dagmar, in 2005. After leaving TT, Galvão joined Brasil Clube de Jiu-Jitsu. Galvão's next world's gold medal would come in 2008. Between the years of 2008 and 2010, Galvão took time off of jiu-jitsu competition and instead focused on MMA. He had a great start to his MMA career with a record of 5 wins and 2 losses, with his last match being a loss in 2010 against Tyron Woodley, who would later become a champion of the UFC. Galvão had plans to enter the UFC via the Ultimate Fighter reality show, but those plans ended up falling through. And instead, Galvão returned to jiu-jitsu and focused his career on the mats. Around the years of 2007 to 2010, Galvão was imagining running a jiu-jitsu gym in Brazil. In 2008, he created his team ATOS with his partner Professor Ramon Lemos. Galvão and Lemos wanted to create a championship jiu-jitsu team that could also promote Christian values on the mats. ATOS, which is named after the Acts of the Apostles, a book in the Bible, was born from Lemos's and Galvão's love of jiu-jitsu and Christianity. This first ATOS headquarters was based in Rio Claro, Brazil. However, the direction of ATOS took a surprising twist after one fateful trip to America. In 2010, while traveling in the US, Galvão found the gym of his dreams with an investor and decided to move to America. He started with a humble space of roughly 350 square feet in Southern California. With time and a lot of hard work and some more gold medals, Galvão built his team and students into a formidable force. Galvão and Lemos eventually decided to move the international headquarters of ATOS to Galvão's San Diego gym. As of 2021, ATOS has over 50 affiliate gyms in 20 countries around the world. An incredible feat for a team that was only created in 2008. Hey, before we tell you how Galvão almost didn't win ADCC 2011, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to never miss another episode of BJJ Legacies. Competition and consistency are 2 major themes of Galvão's jiu-jitsu journey. He has always been obsessed with training as much as possible, and since white belt, Galvão has always competed in as many tournaments as possible. Big or small, Galvão was there. André Galvão's dedication to training and competition are traits traits he will always be remembered for. As an example, we can look at one of Galvão's greatest sporting achievements that came in 2011, where he won both the ADCC 88 kilogram division and the absolute division. Not only is this feat amazing in itself, the circumstances around it were incredible too. Originally, Galvão didn't even believe he would have the chance to compete at ADCC because he had been deported from the host country, England, 2 years before, in 2009. He had been forced to leave by the English after he was found teaching a seminar without the proper visa. Because of this event, Galvão didn't believe he would be able to travel to ADCC in 2011. However, he kept training as usual because that is what André Galvão does, train. He applied anyways for the travel paperwork despite thinking it wouldn't happen. And then a few weeks before the competition, Galvão received his paperwork and hope sparked inside of him. He hopped on a plane and proceeded to face the next hurdle, the border. Fortunately, he came across a very understanding border guard who allowed him to enter the country again and compete. At ADCC 2011, he defeated the terrifying Husamir Palhares in the 88 kilogram final and then submitted Pablo Popovich in the absolutes final. Thus, ADCC 2011 becoming one of Galvão's most celebrated career wins. Galvão would go on to win several more championship titles, including IBJJF Worlds again in 2014, 2016, and 2017. Galvão has also won all of his ADCC super fights, with these coming in 2013, 2015, 2017, and 2019. This series of wins is the most of any super fight champ. Galvão's dedication to training and competing is only rivaled by his dedication to his students. Not only was Galvão winning major tournaments throughout his career, he was also growing Atos at the same time. With Atos, he would develop the team into one of the most dominant no-gi and gi teams today. You could say that many of the athletes who have gone on to win championships have then gone on to train champions themselves, but very few have been able to do both at the same time. However, Galvão has had the pleasure of winning tournaments alongside his students on the mats, rather than just as a coach on the sidelines. And you have probably already heard of many of his students, the likes of Lucas Hulk Barbosa, Ronaldo Jr., JT Torres, Kenan Duarte, and many, many others. Team Atos under Galvão's leadership has grown into one of the strongest teams in Jiu-Jitsu and has created a fan favorite epic rivalry with another dominant no-gi team, the Danaher Death Squad. And if you're a fan of André Galvão, be sure to take a look at Galvão's book, Drill to Win, 12 Months to Better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which you can find through the Amazon affiliate links in the description below. Thank you for supporting the channel and helping us deliver quality Jiu-Jitsu content. In 2018, at the age of 35, André Galvão announced his retirement from competition. After competing at the highest levels of Jiu-Jitsu for 13 years, Galvão decided he had done everything he wanted with his competition career and decided to fully dedicate himself to his team, Atos, and his students. However, never one to slack off of training, even in retirement, Galvão did compete at his 2019 ADCC Super Fight and beat Felipe Pena in an incredibly explosive match. Definitely want to check out if you haven't already. The only question surrounding Galvão is, what's next? I'm sure you're all wondering, will he compete at the ADCC 2021 Super Fight against Gordon Ryan? What we do know is that Galvão has said he would like an increase to the usual ADCC Super Fight purse to come out of retirement to fight Ryan, $1 million to be exact. Many fans, myself included, hope that Galvão can come to an agreement with the ADCC organizers and make this fight happen. It would be incredible to see Galvão become the first ever 5-time ADCC Super Fight winner. And as a side note, Galvão also made a cryptic Instagram post in 2020 signaling that he may be interested in returning to MMA, which would be an interesting decision considering Galvão is nearly 40 years old. No question, Galvão is one of Jiu-Jitsu's all-time greats, and his successes will live on in the history books as well as through his students and team. If you are looking for an example of hard work and dedication to training and community, look no further than André Galvão. We hope you enjoyed this episode of BJJ Legacies, and be sure to tap that like button and subscribe. If you haven't already, check out our other episodes featuring the Danaher Death Squad and Mitsuo Maeda. And tell us in the comments what your favorite André Galvão fight is and why. For me, it's his 2019 ADCC Super Fight against Felipe Pena, cause that table slam.